It wasn't supposed to be like this. Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Deflection, stepping into a conversation that was supposed to go her way. But what happened next? Oh, it flipped the narrative in a way no one could have predicted. There she was, sitting across from Kern Lima, fresh off a big podcast appearance, her first one outside of her tightly controlled bubble. No PR teams, no script, just a raw conversation between two women. But Meghan wasn't prepared for what was coming next. She tried to throw the first punch, subtle as it was, calling Jamie a hypocrite, a user. You could practically see the self-righteousness dripping off her words. But Jamie didn't flinch, not even for a second. Instead, she gave a smile, a slight one, but it was enough. And then it came. The laugh. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, it wasn't even cruel, but it hit harder than any scathing Instagram post could. The kind of laugh that said, I've been there, done that, and now I'm too far ahead to care about petty insults. Let's pause for a second. Who is Kern Lima? A woman who built an empire, not from inherited fame or royal titles, but through grit, through real struggle. She didn't need Meghan's clout to stand tall. Jamie's built a billion-dollar brand from scratch, an empire grounded in raw truth, no filters, no makeup, just the face she's proud of. In 2016, Jamie sold her brand, IT Cosmetics, to L'Oreal. No drama, no sob stories, just a real woman who fought for every inch of her success. And here comes Meghan trying to tear that down with one offhand jab. The reality is this: Jamie's laugh wasn't just a momentary chuckle. It was a complete rejection of everything Meghan's become. A rejection of the curated victimhood Meghan's been selling to the world. And the more Meghan spoke, the more her mask slipped. Now let's talk about that contrast. The one that hit like a sledgehammer. Meghan, forever caught in a cycle of emotional turbulence, tried to come across as the empowering voice of women everywhere. But the truth? It felt like she was stuck in the same loop, replaying old wounds, rehashing past betrayals. Her narrative had become predictable. And here's the thing about predictability in Hollywood. It's as boring as it is exhausting. Meanwhile, there's Kern Lima, stepping into the room with a grace and quiet confidence that Meghan couldn't even touch. No drama, no need for a spotlight. She didn't have to scream about how empowering she was because she was already living it. She didn't have to make her struggles everyone else's problem. She just lived. That's where Meghan faltered. Jamie had been there. She knew rejection. She had felt the sting of countless no's when no one believed in her vision. But did she use that pain as an excuse? Did she turn every failure into a victimhood narrative? Absolutely not. Jamie turned those no's into a billion-dollar company and a reputation that didn't rely on sob stories or press releases. She didn't need a stage to prove she was worthy. She proved it through action, through real, unfiltered work. And this is where Meghan lost the room. She walked in with all her polished veneers and tried to play the role of the victim. But what people saw was someone who was tired of being the underdog, tired of playing the woe is me card. And let's face it, the industry had started to feel it. People weren't talking about Meghan's resilience anymore. They were talking about how tired they were of hearing the same story, the endless drama, the perpetual struggle. It all started to feel like noise. Unpredictability, especially when it's attached to someone like Meghan Markle, starts to become risky. And in Hollywood, risky is the last thing you want to be. Now let's break this down. Kern Lima didn't need to say much. That laugh, it spoke volumes. It was a sign of something much bigger, a mirror reflecting the truth Meghan didn't want to see. Meghan's public persona was starting to crack, and no one was more aware of it than the people she once surrounded herself with. You could almost hear the collective sigh of Hollywood insiders, the ones who had once eagerly courted Meghan with open arms, now slowly pulling away. It's not personal, it's professional. And Meghan, whether she likes it or not, had become exhausting to manage. Here's why. Every move was too tightly controlled, every conversation too curated, every media appearance felt like it was part of a greater narrative, a narrative that always seemed to lead back to her pain, her struggle. When your story becomes a performance, when every action is about maintaining your brand, people stop caring. And that's where Meghan had found herself. She was no longer an empowering figure, she was the embodiment of what happens when empowerment becomes a transaction. It became about her growth, her pain, and her journey, but it never fully connected with anyone else. True empowerment doesn't need a constant reminder that it exists. It doesn't need to scream for attention. It just is. Jamie, on the other hand, didn't need to perform. She was already living the life that Meghan only pretended to. She built her empire not with noise, but with substance. There was no need for endless media tours or book deals that were just opportunities to reinforce her story. Jamie's power came from within, and it had always been that way. She didn't rely on being a victim to be seen. She let her actions speak for themselves. And here's the harsh reality. Meghan's performance-based empowerment was starting starting to wear thin. Hollywood, once eager to embrace her, had started to distance itself. They were tired, not of Meghan's voice, but of her brand. Let's get down to the hard truth. Meghan Markle, the woman who once had the power to redefine narratives and disrupt industries, was now slowly fading into the background. Once upon a time, her presence commanded attention. She was the voice of change, of rebellion against a system that stifled women. But what happens when the rebellion starts to feel less like a movement and more like a show? That's exactly what Meghan became, a performance. And unfortunately, the audience wasn't as captivated as it once was. Behind the scenes, the whispers had already begun. Producers who once jumped at the chance to collaborate with Meghan were now pulling away. It wasn't because they didn't believe in her cause, but because the chaos surrounding her was becoming too much to handle. The creative projects that were supposed to be her big break kept falling apart, delayed for one reason or another. The promises of groundbreaking content seemed to slip further out of reach with every press release and every headline about her latest struggle. Meghan's brand had become too much work and not enough payoff. It wasn't even about her as a person. It wasn't even about her past or the mistakes that might have been made along the way. It was about the constant need to manage the narrative. She wasn't just trying to create content anymore. She was trying to maintain control of the message, to control how the world saw her. And the more she fought to keep that control, the more it slipped through her fingers. People weren't buying into it anymore, and they certainly weren't lining up to be a part of it. The energy she brought into every meeting was no longer inspiring. It was draining. Now let's look at Jamie again. While Meghan's project stalled, Jamie's success continued to soar. Without the drama, without the circus, she kept winning. Her lifestyle brand sold out in record time. Her mentoring sessions, packed with women eager to learn from someone who had walked through the fire and come out unscathed, were a hit. No one was tired of Jamie. No one was questioning her authenticity. Because Jamie didn't need to market herself as a symbol of empowerment, she just was. And people respected that. Her reputation was untouched, her credibility built on years of actual work, not staged battles or curated narratives. Meghan could learn a thing or two from Jamie, but at this point it seems like she's too far gone, trapped in a cycle she can't escape from. She has a choice: continue playing the victim, continue the performance, or step into her own reality. One without the constant need for validation from the outside world. As we look deeper into the shift in Meghan's public image, it becomes clear she's clinging to a past that no longer serves her. Every time she opens up about her struggles, her hardships, or her battles with the media, it feels like a rehash of old content. Sure, there's pain in her story, there always has been, but the issue now isn't the story itself, it's how she's telling it. It's the fact that she can't seem to move beyond it. When someone like Meghan Markle, with all her resources and opportunities, keeps circling back to the same themes, victimhood, struggle, and injustice, it starts to feel like stagnation. And stagnation is dangerous in an industry built on constant reinvention. People want growth, evolution, and authenticity. But most importantly, they want to feel like the person they're investing in is living out their narrative. Meghan's narrative, once groundbreaking, is now just noise. Her voice, once revolutionary, is now starting to fade into a hum. What Meghan Markle doesn't seem to grasp, what the entire world is quietly starting to realize, is that the clock is ticking. In a world like Hollywood, where everything moves at the speed of light, there's no time for endless self-reflection. No room for looking backward and clinging to narratives that no longer resonate. Hollywood is about reinvention, about what you do next, not what you've already done or who you were wronged by. And that, Meghan, is where the cracks start to show. Her inability to break free from this toxic cycle of victimhood is slowly suffocating her career. She's boxed herself in with this narrative, and now every public appearance is a rerun. It's exhausting. People who once admired her for her courage, for the way she fought to build something of her own, are beginning to tire of the constant complaints. They want something new, something real, something more than the same old song and dance. Jamie Kern Lima, on the other hand, is thriving. She doesn't need to sell empowerment because she is empowered. She's already proven her worth in ways that Meghan never could. And that's the sad truth. Meghan Markle had the chance to be more than just a brand. She had the chance to build something that wasn't about her pain or her struggles. But now, she's left to navigate a future where the world is growing tired of her act, and the only one still clinging to it is her. And still clinging to it